Restructuring debate gains momentum. The need to restructure Nigeria has continued to dominate the political space of late. Advocates of restructuring of Nigeria are of the view that the country is likely to disintegrate if urgent steps are not taken to address critical national issues. To most stakeholders, the federal system of government in operation at the moment has only succeeded in creating a powerful federal government at the expense of the state and local governments. Others have queried whether Nigeria should continue to operate the presidential system of government and the full-time legislature, among others, in the face of dwindling resources. High cost of governance at the various levels, federal, state, and local council, according to them, is partly responsible for the country's stunted development despite abundant human and natural resources. The belief is that after deduction of running costs by the various levels of government, little or nothing is left for capital projects. There's also a debate on autonomy for the state, fiscal federalism to pave the way for resources controlled by the states, equality of state and local government among the 6 geopolitical zones, state police, and the indigenship question, amongst others, given the growing discontentment in the polity. However, there's a political school that is advocating a return of regionalism as the present 36-state structure is no longer sustainable. Advocates of regionalism are of the view that the proliferation of states has continued to impede the country's progress. Reference was made about India with a population of about 1.2 billion people with only 28 states, while Nigeria with a population of about 200 million has 36 states that are mostly unviable, as evident from their inability to even pay salaries of public servants. Despite this, some individuals and groups are still demanding for new states. Some, however, seems genuine given that they are inspired by the same concerns that preceded state creation in the past: minority fears, inequalities, and skewed development. There are also calls for a retooling of the Nigerian federalism by tinkering with themes on the executive and concurrent legislative list as contained in the 1999 Constitution as amended. Those who belong to this political school are of the view that the powers of the federal government should be whittled down, as it seems that it is the only government in place with about 65 items that has powers on the exclusive legislative list. It was also argued that the unitary constitution system of government presently in place under the guise of a federal system has failed to solve the country's numerous problems, and therefore restructuring of Nigeria cannot be more urgent than now that the nation is faced with agitations of self-determination as well as security challenges. The fears over Nigerians' failure, notwithstanding the Muhammad Buhari-led All Progressive Congress APC administration, seem not disposed to any process that will alter the status quo except done through the National Assembly. Many had advised the president when he came to power in 2015 to implement the report of the 2014 National Conference convoked by his predecessor Goodluck Jonathan, as according to them, the confab came up with several recommendations to restructure the country and put it on the path to greatness. However, the fear at the time was that the opposition APC that boycotted the conference convoked by a People's Democratic Party PDP government is unlikely to implement the confab report. The fears was confirmed when President Buhari described the conference as a misplacement of priority. His words, "Advise you against the use of national conference. You will recall that ASU, Academic Staff Union of Universities, was on strike then for almost 9 months. The teachers in the tertiary institution were on strike for more than a year, yet that government had about 9 billion naira to organize that meeting, national conference, and some members were complaining that they haven't even been paid. I never liked the priority of that government on that particular issue because what it meant is that the discussion on what the National Assembly ought to do were more important than keeping our children in schools. That is why I have not even bothered to read it or ask for a briefing on it, and I want to go to the so-called archives. Despite the president's stand, the clamor for restructuring persisted. Socio-cultural organizations, particularly in the southern, north-central parts of the country, Ohanaeze Ndigbo, led by Chief John Nwodo, Afenifere, led by Pa Ruben Fasoranti, Pan-Nigeria Delta Forum, led by Air Commando Indigenous Nkanga, and Middle Belt Forum, led by Engineer Ben Akarka, have relentlessly insisted that Nigeria should be restructured. Some elder statesmen and other leaders like First Republic Minister of Information Chief Edwin Clark, his aviation counterpart Chief Mboazike Amechi, Afenifere Chieftain, Chief Ayo Adebanjo, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, as well as ex-military President General Ibrahim Babangida have at one point or the other backed the call. Also, pro-northern groups such as Northern Elders Forum, which some hitherto believed are against restructuring, has joined the fray. NEF spokesperson Dr. Hakeem Baba Ahmed, in a recent interview, insisted that the country must be restructured to address fundamental issues that ought to have been addressed since Nigeria gained independence. He said the two basic factions of the state are to secure citizens and provide for their welfare. Now the Nigerian state is falling in both camps, so restructuring for us means addressing those failures and identifying ideas, suggestions, and changes that can actually fit into the process of improving them. But the presidency has repeatedly, in its response, maintained that Buhari will not be pressured to make any decision that will not be in the interest of the nation, while urging those clamoring for restructuring to channel their case through the National Assembly, as government believes that anything outside the parliament will not reflect the will of the people. Some questions over President Buhari's position are: will the National Assembly, as presently constituted, be disposed to a full-scale exercise that will alter the status quo? How feasible is an other national dialogue, and what would be the fate of its outcome? Can restructuring be achieved through constitutional review, given the fact that the National Assembly is the only body empowered by the Constitution to amend the Constitution? While answers to these questions and others over what shape the proposed restructuring should take, a fresh twist was added to the debate recently when some stakeholders advised the ruling party to look at the report of the Committee on Restructuring it set up in 2017 and initiate executive bills which, when passed into law by the National Assembly, will address most of the issues agitating the minds of Nigerians. However, genuinely as this proposal seems, it has triggered an attrition between the APC and PDP, as the main opposition party claims that it has a political undertone. Consequently, there is a debate over which of these two reports, 2014 Confab and the APC Committee on Restructuring, should be in the fore in the eventuality of a restructuring exercise. Guys, restructuring debate is gaining more momentum, and right now it looks like a fresh battle is set between the ruling All Progressive Congress and the People's Democratic Party. Anyway, guys, let's hear your own take. Thank you once again for staying tuned. Please, if you've been following us and you still haven't given us a thumbs up, do show us some love, my people. Click on the like button, give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe as well. Click on the subscribe button. It really does mean a lot to us. Till I come your way again with more updates. Bye for now, and God bless.